The Houston Rockets are legitimate contenders this year. This team is doing something that we have never seen done before. Russell Westbrook and James Harden, two MVP players who are still in their prime. These two guys, for whatever reason, have received an abundance of hate, and I've never understood it. Because when you look at Russell Westbrook, you look at somebody that has broken multiple records, somebody that has been the ultimate competitor, somebody that has done everything you could want from a player, except I guess win a championship.
To send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good!
But that's besides the point. When you look at the era that Russell Westbrook has played in, it's not exactly the weakest. You have one of the best teams of all time in the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Winning a championship isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. But truth be told, you could say the Warriors don't have those 2 extra championships without KD. The Warriors assemble possibly the best regular season team of all time with the best regular season record of 73-9. And then they go out and they add this 7-foot Hall of Fame wing scorer who is absurdly good at shooting the 3-point ball. Not only is Kevin Durant one of the biggest buckets and best scorers of all time, but he does everything else insanely well too. To be short, this was a tough team to beat. And at least before they got KD, one guy beat it. LeBron James. You know, the guy who is arguably the best player to ever play. The competition was steep, but not too steep for Bron to overcome. But then there was another guy, another player who almost overcame this impossible feat, James Harden.
Harden shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
It took the Rockets missing 27 straight threes to lose against the Warriors in Game 7. Oh yeah, and a Chris Paul injury.
Can you give us the update on Chris Paul?
Yeah, I think he's out.
Can you take us
out?
I think James Harden is actually one of the most unlucky players in NBA history. I'm not going to point any fingers, but Trevor Ariza that game was 0 of 12 and 0 of 9 from 3. Eric Gordon was 2 of 12. Harden was 2 of 13 from 3. It was just a bad performance all around. Nobody was hit harder by that loss than James Harden. To this day, I still think what Harden did was impressive and almost historic. I could only imagine how the public would view Harden with the ring. I think things would be a little bit different. I think people would view Russ differently too if he also had a ring.
That's pretty interesting.
But there's only one way to find out. People have been doubting Russ his whole career. They said he was a ball hog and doesn't pass. They said that Russ only was a good rebounder because of Steven Adams. They said that his triple-doubles don't matter because they don't impact games. This was all false. When KD left for Golden State, it was like the chip on Russ's shoulder grew 5 times bigger. Russ never did any of that. And I'm not saying there's a problem with teaming up. I'm not saying there's a problem with super teams at all. But you can't get mad at a player for leaving and then also get mad when a player stays and his team just isn't good enough to compete at the highest level. Now, I know the Thunder have had some good teams. They've had some great teams. They've had teams with 3 MVPs. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. How insane is that to say? But to be fair, Harden hadn't came into his own yet. He was still the 6th man in OKC holding it down. And well, you guys know how that story goes.
Harden struggles with his dribble, pulls back, knocks it down at the buzzer.
Let's fast forward to when Russell Westbrook teams up with Paul George. Paul George, Russell Westbrook. Seems like a can't miss. One of the best two-way players in the league at Paul George. And then you have prime Russell Westbrook truly coming into his MVP self. A few things happened with this Thunder team. There was questionable coaching. There was some questionable roster moves. Despite talented rosters, a lot of the pieces just were questionable fits. I actually think this is a problem that happens a lot in the NBA. Some GMs are just good at getting talent and let the coach figure out the rest. While other GMs, they work hand in hand with their coach and they try to assemble the best team possible for that coach, and the coach also tries to coach a certain style that fits the roster that's given before him. those are truly special connections, and front offices in the NBA should not be slept on. I actually think the Houston Rockets are in a really good position when it comes to this, because it's obvious that D'Antoni and Daryl Morey are on the same page, at least when it comes to small ball. At the trade deadline, the Rockets would acquire Robert Covington. A lot of people may know of Robert Covington's name, and you may have heard by now he's a defensive specialist that is an elite defender at multiple positions. I'm honestly not sure there's a player in the NBA that I wouldn't feel comfortable with Robert Covington guarding. Rocco is just that type of player, and he's been that type of player for a while. When Karl Anthony Towns was out with the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were top 5 in defensive rating. A lot of people thought the Rockets messed up by letting Clint Capella go. Big time lob target, big time paint presence, and interior defender. But for what the Rockets want to do and how they were playing with Clint Capella, I think the move was obvious and an easy one. With PJ Tucker at the 5, the Rockets were almost undefeated. This Rockets small ball team is just so crazy that it might actually work. You know what? Scratch that. It's been working. Despite the memes, despite the PJ Tucker memes.
I always love basketball. Do you love basketball? You're big, I bet you're good at basketball. I'm small, but I'll try really, really hard to be good at basketball. Really, I will. I always try hard. My mom says try your best in everything you do.
This team has been absolutely balling going small, playing with Rocco and PJ Tucker at the 4 and 5 positions. You see, the state of the NBA big man is a pretty funny one in the sense that most of them just aren't elite or really just that good. You see, a lot of bigs, they just flat out have bad hands. They can't catch the ball. But if they can catch the ball, then there's a chance that they can't shoot. But if they can shoot, then there's a chance that they're bad on defense. And if they're good on defense, there's a chance that they're still bad in the pick and roll. And at times, I've seen players like Rudy Gobert be unplayable in the playoffs for the Jazz just because teams will pick and roll him nonstop. It's ridiculous to see, and this is why I think Giannis is hands down the best defender in the league. He is elite at guarding just everybody. I think in today's NBA, defensive versatility is one of the most important traits to have. When Westbrook was with OKC, the Thunder were lacking one thing, and it was glaringly obvious what they were lacking. They really didn't have an abundance of three-point shooters. You see, with the Houston Rockets, things are different. While the Rockets don't have the best three-point shooters in the world, despite James Harden and Eric Gordon being phenomenal and having the ability to light it up from deep at any given time, the Rockets emphasize spacing. This team is one of the best spaced teams in the entire NBA, despite not being one of the best shooting teams. You can hate on Mike D'Antoni and his up-tempo ISO offense all you want, but the truth of the matter is that the Rockets are top 5 in creating open shots. If you go back the past month or so, Westbrook's stats have been absolutely insane. The Rockets currently lead the league in three-point attempts per game, so Russell Westbrook doesn't have to. You see, everybody thinks it's a three-point shooting league, and it is. But the thing is, the three-point shooters, they create space for slashers like Giannis, like LeBron, like Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. Early in the season, Russell Westbrook tried to become something he wasn't to fit in with the Rockets offense. And that's not to saying he was playing very poorly, but he wasn't playing up to his usual standard. He was taking a lot of three-pointers. One game he took over 11, but since then, and since the courts opened up even more, Russell Westbrook has gotten back to the basics. Very low three-point attempts per game. Not saying he can't shoot them, but he knows exactly what he's good at. The Rockets currently lead the league with 32.8 switches per game. Remember that Robert Covington guy? Oh yeah, and the PJ Tucker guy. Remember when I told you guys the ability to switch is very important and vital in the NBA? Well, the Rockets are going out and they're taking full advantage of that. The Rockets could have went out and they could have gotten a traditional big at the trade deadline, but whatever big they would have got, it just wouldn't have been enough. So I have to commend the Rockets for creating their own slant and trying to become the best small ball team in the NBA. We saw the success that the Warriors had in the past, and You guys all know how that turned out.
The Warriors are NBA champions again.
Be it with better personnel or not, I think the Rockets are seriously on to something. The scary thing is that the Rockets have two of the most potent scorers in the league, but they're not one-dimensional players in the least. The starting five of Westbrook, Harden, Tucker, Covington, and House has H-Town outscoring their opponents 26.5 points per 100 possessions. The scary thing is that I don't think that this team has peaked or is close to peaking yet. Remember how long it took LeBron, Wade, and never mind, I'm not even going to go there. But you guys get it, these things take time. And truth be told, while Westbrook has been elite with Harden, he's been out of this world with him off of the floor. The Beard and Russ both have a usage rate of over 34%. They're the first duo to do this in the modern NBA three-point era. This season, the NBA is as open as ever. There are a lot of players with a lot to prove, and there are legacies that aren't done.
First, we were just trying to, find whoever, James Harden was guarding. That's who we thought we're gonna have the opportunity to score on.
Why does Giannis hate Harden so much? I'm sure you guys have seen the recent clips and jabs he's taken. I thought they were all in good fun at first, but it's been getting kind of rough. Be sure to click the video on the screen, guys. It's incredibly dope. You guys won't want to miss it. I'm GETLIKECOOP. Be sure to subscribe, notice on, and I'm out.